Stadiums, much like Mongolians, have an average life expectancy of about 70 years or so, excluding cricket of course. Most cricket stadiums are immortal. Sometimes stadiums can be renovated, but sometimes the bulldozer is the only option. So with that being said, here are 10 iconic stadiums set to be demolished soon. Starting off with Jan Breydel Stadium, home to one of Belgium's most successful football clubs, Club Brugge. I shouldn't have even tried to pronounce it the Dutch way, let's just call it Club Bruges, as well as Cercle Bruges, another top-flight club that's a little less successful. It's a fairly simple stadium, nothing extraordinary, but I think it's worthy of being called iconic, given that it's been part of Belgian top-flight football since it opened. It will be demolished and replaced with a brand new flashy stadium to be built nearby, which is undoubtedly a major upgrade. Robert F. Kennedy Memorial Stadium. It's a design from a different era when baseball-football hybrids were common in America. It makes sense on paper, but the fan experience isn't as good as a purpose-built stadium, unsurprisingly. Not only was it home to the team formerly known as the Redskins, and an MLB team or two, it was also home to 5 different professional soccer teams over the years. And it even hosted college football. So this stadium was definitely put to good use, but there's just no need for it anymore. Newlands Rugby Stadium. It's located in one of the most spectacular cities in the world, and right next to one of the most famous cricket stadiums in the world. From some seats you can even get a view of the iconic Table Mountain. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to continue maintaining this aging stadium when there's a fairly new world-class stadium in Cape Town. It was built for the 2010 World Cup. Demolishing this stadium is understandable, but if they ever tried to bulldoze the cricket stadium, well, I'd probably have to fly over to Cape Town and do a Hungry Homer or something. Ain't gonna happen on my watch. Goodison Park, home to Everton FC, which is a team that forever lives in the shadow of the more well-known club from Liverpool. I am, of course, speaking of City of Liverpool FC. Come on the Perps! But their stadium can claim to have hosted more top-flight football than any other stadium in the country. It could even be considered an historical landmark, having been built in the 19th century. And some fans aren't too pleased to see it go. But the replacement looks spectacular, and I'm sure once it's built, there won't be too many people complaining. Actually, the weather will still be more or less the same, so they'll still be complaining about that. Rogers Centre. Although it hasn't been officially confirmed, there are reports that the Rogers Centre will be demolished and a new stadium built elsewhere in Toronto. It was one of the first stadiums in the world with a retractable roof, and it's currently the only Major League Baseball stadium in Canada. In the past, it was also home to the Toronto Argonauts of the CFL and the Toronto Raptors of the NBA. It's not that old, but elements of the stadium's design are reminiscent of cookie-cutter stadiums that were being phased out at the time it was built. And a more baseball-centric design would obviously be preferred. Stadion Feyenoord, or De Kuip as it's often called, meaning the tub. It's one of the more unique stadium designs going around. The wraparound roof has a steep downward slope that reminds me of the #1 court at Wimbledon before it was renovated. The stadium will be dearly missed by many Feyenoord fans, but the replacement, once again built nearby, looks pretty spectacular, and it will be the most expensive stadium in Dutch history. Aloha Stadium was originally a multi-use stadium made from movable stands that was shared between a minor league baseball team and a college football team. Those movable stands would have been pretty impressive at the time, but the cost of maintaining them became too much and in 2007 it was permanently locked into its current football configuration. The stadium is slowly rusting away and it will almost certainly be demolished, with a brand new Aloha Stadium to be built nearby, which will be significantly smaller but undoubtedly superior. Estadio di Mastala is a very visually striking stadium with steep stands, a depiction of a bat, and quite a loud orange colour scheme. Its replacement began construction in 2007 and it's still yet to be completed for financial reasons. So at this rate, the stadium has got until the year 2063 or so, which is good because I quite like it. Just think, this whole pandemic started with one of these things. Unbelievable. If only bats weren't so goddamn delicious. If you're ever in northern England, you have to try the battered bat in a buttered bap. It's a local delicacy. It's so good. Estadio Leon. If you're not familiar with this unassuming Mexican football stadium, it has quite the resume, having hosted matches in 2 World Cups and the Olympics. It is, however, far from state of the art, and like a hard-shelled taco, it's a crumbling mess. So Leon will be moving to a new stadium on a different site, and a pretty impressive stadium, I have to say. Now that is burrito level, also known as God tier. And finally, Siro, officially known as Stadio Giuseppe Meazza, but nobody calls it that. It's perhaps Italy's most iconic, non-ancient stadium. It's home to 2 of Italy's 3 biggest clubs, and fittingly, it's huge. However, it's well past its best, and due to safety concerns, the capacity has to be restricted. Not that that's an issue at the moment. The replacement stadium will be one of 2 different designs, both of which are smaller. But I'm sure whichever stadium is chosen will be worthy of replacing such an iconic stadium. So there you have it. Those were 10 iconic stadiums that are sadly in their final years. If you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing. Thanks for watching, have a good one.